Okay, today's lesson is 7.4, and we're going to be identifying the parts of an expression. So our spiral review today is on page 374. Here's the questions in case you need to pause this video here and try the questions on a piece of paper. Okay, we're going to go over those questions. A bottle of cranberry juice contains 32 fluid ounces and costs $2.56. What is the unit rate? So this is from chapter 6. You set up your ratio, $2.56 for 32 ounces, and we want to know how much for one of those ounces. So in order to do that, 32, to turn it into a 1, we need to divide by 32. Whatever I do to the bottom, I also do to the top. So I put this in a calculator. 2 and 56 divided by 32 is 8 cents, or 0.08, 8 hundredths of a dollar. Okay, then there are 32 peanuts in a bag. Elliot takes 25% of the peanuts from the bag. Then Zeri takes 50% of the remaining peanuts. How many peanuts are left in the bag? So the first time I did this problem, I didn't do it correct because I added the 25 and the 50, and then I figured out 75%. But really, the amount in the bag is changing. So first I had to do how much Elliot takes. So 25% of 32. I had to do that part first. So let me show you on the top what I did here. You can see it better. I did 25% of 32. So I took my 25% and made it into a decimal, multiplied it all out, and that would be 8 of those. 8 peanuts, right? So we take away those 8 peanuts and we're left with 24 peanuts. Then of those 24 peanuts, we take 50% of those, which would be 0.5. Multiply times that will give you 12 of the peanuts. So we take those 12 away and we're left with 12 in the bag. So that's how I figured that one out. All right, number 5. Hank earns $12 per hour for babysitting. How much does he earn for 15 hours of babysitting? So we have $12 per hour. That's our unit rate. And we're going to babysit for 15 hours. You multiply the 15, multiply it by 15 on both the top and the bottom. We get $180 for 15 hours of babysitting. All right, so then this one, we're going to write an expression using exponents that represent the area of the figure in centimeters. So we have, if we had the whole entire box here with this little part that is taken out, if it was still on there, we would go 7 times 7 to get the area of that square. 7 times 7 can be represented using an exponent of 2. Now, but we have that little square we got to take away. So this side of the square and this side of the square are both 2. So to find the area of this little part of the square, we say 2 times 2 would give us the area, and that's going to be subtracted from the main square. So 2 times 2 can be represented with a 2 in the exponent. So you should have 7 squared minus 2 squared would give us the answer in centimeters squared. So you could even write it like this: 7 squared minus 2 squared would give us how many centimeters squared of the rest of the area. Okay. Moving on to our main idea for today. So you're going to want to take these notes right here. This is your notes. This whole page should be in your notes. We're going to identify the parts of an expression. So a new word that we learn this chapter is the word term. And both of these terms, these are terms. The K is a term, and the 1/4 D is a term. Terms are divided by an addition or subtraction sign. So that's how you know that these, you're going to be grouping them into 2 different terms. If you have a variable and it doesn't have a number in front of it, you can always assume that that coefficient for the variable is 1. Because if we have 1 times any number, it just stays that number. So you don't always have to show the 1. Just kind of know that there is a 1 there that's multiplying the K. So that's just one of those Ks. You might want to put that in your notes. That's important. For this one, the coefficient is 1/4. And we are multiplying the 1/4 times D. So the coefficient of D is 1/4. All right, so this is how we describe the parts of an expression. Here we have an expression, and we're going to describe all the parts. So the operations in this expression is multiplication and addition. Remember, you don't need that multiplication sign there because whenever you have a number right in front of the parentheses, that means to multiply. So even if that multiplication sign wasn't there, we would still say that we have two operations, multiplication and addition. And then the part in parentheses, what you're looking at in parentheses here is the sum, meaning you're adding them, the sum of 6 and 7. So those are the parts to this equation or expression. It's an expression because it doesn't have an equal sign. All right, so put this in your notes. These are different ways to show division and multiplication. So here, to showing division, we use the actual division symbol that you're used to. Here's another way to show division, 4 divided by m with a fraction symbol. Then we have ways to show multiplication. You could have a coefficient in front of a variable without any sign, that's a multiplication. You could have a dot, that means multiplication. You could have a number in front of a parentheses, that means multiplication. And then just the old-fashioned multiplication sign, that will also mean multiplication. So those are a variety of ways to show division and multiplication. And as you get into higher math, you're going to see more of them that will just look like this first one or this third one here for multiplication. And usually we stop seeing this division sign when we get into like 8th grade math. Rarely will you see a division symbol because you're going to use a fraction bar instead. All right, next we are going to explain the parts of this. So this says which one of these both work, right? So let's read this. We have 7 times, and we have a times right now because we're still using that multiplication sign. 7 times the quotient of 9 and 3. So this is a quotient because you're dividing, and the answer to a division problem is your quotient. And we have that in parentheses. So it's 7 times the quotient of 9 and 3. Or you could say the quotient of 9 and 3 multiplied by 7. Let's put a 7 there. So either of those ways works to describe that expression. You might want that in your notes, just a couple different ways. Kids get a little confused when we get to this lesson about what a quotient is and how to use that word. But basically, whenever you want someone to divide or you're wanting to show division, you're going to use the word quotient to explain the answer to a division problem. Okay. So let's just look at a couple of these here. Identify the terms of the expression and then give the coefficient of each term. So, this is the one that we had. This was our k minus 1/3 d. The two terms is k is one of them, and then 1/3 d is the other term. The coefficient here is an 1 that you can't see, and the coefficient of this one is 1/3. For this one, we have two terms, as they're divided by addition or subtraction. The coefficient of x is 0.5. The coefficient of y is 2.5. All right, so we're going to have you try that today on your assignment. Good luck.